Good evening, everyone. Edward Leos here. John Maxwell, leadership coach, speaker, and trainer, actually also a business growth strategist. Really excited about tonight's call and what we're going to be talking about because it's actually something that a lot of us have issues with, and that's overcoming fear. That includes myself. There's a lot of things that you actually hear that old adage that fear kills most dreams. And I'm actually a real big believer in that, in reference to everything that's going on in this world and moving forward with regards to businesses and families and such like that. Josh, appreciate you being on the call again. Happy to have you on. For all of you guys who are just joining or going to watch this on replay, feel free to go ahead and share this and put this in your Facebook feed if you could, or share wherever you can. I appreciate that. Jennifer, thanks for jumping on. Got Missouri in the house, so that's cool too. But we've got a lot of great things to talk about tonight. But I got top 9 ways to kind of overcome fear, and really fear is kind of crippling. Oh wow, Josh is in Wisconsin. Man, we're all over the board today, so that's cool. But fear really is something that cripples a lot of people. Myself included. There's been many times where, I like to think that I'm pretty positive and pretty good about, how I can do things and stuff like that. But there's still that opportunity when fear really sets in, whether that's, wanting to go bungee jumping or jump out of an airplane and skydive, or, even doing a ropes course. I've done that before. And that was a little scary at times, but I got it done. But you figure out a ways to how can you overcome those fears. And what I want to do is kind of give us some tools and how we can do that, because if we have some tools in our tool belt, we've got the opportunity to do things better as we're moving forward, not only for ourselves, but for the people that we know, our kids, our family, our friends. It's always about us learning from today, but how can we help other people with the message that we're going about? So, hey, let's just jump right into the top 9 that I put together here. So number 1, separate reality from perception. The biggest thing here is really to focus on the facts versus the feelings. The big thing too, there's a positive and negative to this, because the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. That's going to help us later on in this, but at the beginning now, it's really about focusing on the facts. What are the facts and what are they? It's like that old adage is, but did you die? And most of the time it's not. I mean, the worst case scenario is we're going to be right back where we were. And that's what people are always saying is, the fear of public speaking, I know, is one of the big ones for a lot of people. I think that's even up there, probably even above death at sometimes, but also going to the dentist and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of dentists, but it is what it is. Public speaking, yeah, put me on the stage and I'm good with that. But there's a lot of people that they have issues with that, and they get mortified and it becomes a challenge for them. But the only way you're going to do those things is kind of take those little steps, which we'll talk about later as well, in how you get there. But the number 1 is separate facts over feelings. That's the biggest thing that you need to focus on there. Number 2 is you got to identify those triggers. What does that mean? Really keep track of everything as it happens. When you have a negative situation and you're trying to overcome that, you got to really figure out, how can I do this and what am I doing? And the other thing is, as you're failing, how are you learning from that? That's the biggest thing. If you turn fear into a learning experience, then it becomes a whole different ballgame for everyone. It gives you an opportunity to go, man, I was just a failure, as opposed to a negative situation, but you're really turning it into a learning experience. And that's what separates a lot of people who are very successful in this world, is they focus on learning, they focus on the outcomes, but they also focus on how can they get better from this. So identify those triggers, keep track of that, but also understand that you got to fail some, but you're going to learn from it. That's one of your biggest goals right there. So number 3, know where fear lives in your body. This is important because your physical body is going to keep a lot of that fear, whether it's, stress in your headaches, whether it's in your back or your shoulders, you will carry that fear and that stress someplace. So you've got to know what that is, and you've got to know how to overcome that. And so that's going to be like maybe doing a little bit of exercises, understanding, if it is in your head, getting that fresh air and that other kind of oxygen and going for you as well, or stretching. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But you got to know where fear lives inside your body. There is a physical manifestation that comes with fear, and you want to make sure you know where those trigger points are. And that goes back to identifying the triggers, because that's also the physical side of things as well. Number 4, one of my favorites, practice gratitude. Basically, this is being thankful for the things that you have in your life, things that you have in your world. And I think one of the biggest things for us is to maybe write a list every day. What are 1 to 3 things every day that you're thankful for, that you're grateful for? When you start focusing on gratitude, all of a sudden fear kind of goes by the wayside. The more things that we're thankful for, the more things that we're have gratitude for, the better off we're going to be in general. So focus on that too. Practice gratitude, because that is just as important as knowing those triggers. We're almost halfway there, guys. Number 5, listen to your inner voice. Well, what does that mean? A lot of us have self-talk. Well, actually, every one of us do. There's negative self-talk. There's positive self-talk. One of the big things that we have to focus on is listening to that positive self-talk and understand that the words that are in our head are the things that are going to be coming out of our mouth. It's going to create the body that we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to overcome. And that's one of the biggest things. That's why self-affirmations are important. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. And so one of the big things with Tony Robbins is he talks about not only with gratitude, but he talks about living in a space of positivity. And it's not about looking at, your garden and not acknowledging that there's weeds in the garden, because if you don't, the weeds are going to take over your garden. The premise is for you to take a look at that, address it, and figure out how you can kind of move forward. Again, that goes with creative self-talk and listening to your inner voice. That's hugely important. Number 6, you got to create a new association. One of the big things here is looking at fear and hope and how those two work together. But one of the ways to kind of overcome that is to kind of really think small and break things up as you're moving forward. It's almost like I've said this many times before, but it's the marathon mentality. Little chunks at a time. It's that being consistency and figuring out one step at a time what you're going to be doing. But if you create that new association and really focus on the little steps and how you're moving forward, then you can really think about how things can go in the big picture. So one of my favorites there as well. And the last 3, let's round this thing up, guys, on a Sunday evening here. Look at the glass half full. Whoa, what does that mean? I'm going to be positive. That's what I'm going to mean. Focus on the positive outcomes, positive thoughts, one at a time. That's hugely important. It is very easy when you're fearful to focus on the negative thoughts and the negative self-talk. We're going to try really, really hard to do one little bit at a time, but to focus on those positive things. If you're focusing on understanding what your triggers are and what those are, it's easy for you to go back and focus on what's going to be positive and how you can shift that negative mentality to more of a positive and hopeful mentality. That's why it's important to do that as well. The last 2, team. Number 8. I was going ahead of myself. Practice breathing exercises. Again, this works with the physical side of things because you got to know what your body's like. When you're breathing, when you're getting that state of Zen, when you're getting that centered, you just kind of start focusing. Take those 5 deep breaths. Inhale for a count and then exhale, and have that long thing. Tony Robbins is a big believer in that too. It's really, really important as well, because when you control your breathing, you actually start controlling your heart, your functions there in terms of how, if your anxiety level is going up, it really starts calming you and bringing you down, which is what you want. You want to have the physical side in tune with the thought side of things. So that's important as well. And number 9, I actually like this one too, because it's called creating a safe space. Where is that? Well, man, that could be your office. That could be your bedroom. It could be, out on the back porch, sitting on a swing. It could be just walking in nature. And you know what? Because the brain doesn't know the difference between reality and what you're thinking, your safe place could be a beach. That's a matter of getting in your breathing exercises and getting into that place of Zen where you can kind of start thinking about how you're focused on things. And you start shifting that focus in a different way. But if you really want to focus on having those places for you, have a place in your home or have a place that you could go to, a park, even another friend. One of the big things is surrounding yourself with great and authentic people. That's going to help you as well, because when you have that core around you to be able to kind of go and help other people and know that you can go to them as well, all of a sudden the fearful side of thing goes down, because now it's a group, it's a team. And that's what we're about. Human beings are not meant to be in this world alone. We are creatures of culture, creatures of being together. And that's exactly why it can propel you to that next level. So it's really a big thing to be focused on. So you know what? Let's go through the top 9 and then we'll call it a night. But number 1, separate reality from perception. Remember, facts over feelings. Got to focus on that. Number 2, identify the triggers. How are you going to do that? Keep track of things. When you get into a negative situation, keep track of how those negative feelings are. But you know there may be some failures, but how are you going to learn from it? If you treat everything like a learning experience, it becomes a whole different ballgame. Number 3, know where fear lives in your body. That's important. What are the physical attributes that happen when you come with fear? You know, is it headaches? Is it backaches? Think about those things as you try and get into that centered state. Number 4, practice gratitude. You know, this is one of my favorites because it's important that if you think about the good things in your life, all of a sudden the bad things kind of go to the wayside. But focus on writing down 1 to 3 things before you go to bed. I think that's important for everybody to understand. Those 1 to 3 things every day when you're going to sleep, right before you go to bed. Say 3 things that you're thankful for, that you're grateful for. It's going to shift your mindset with everything as well. All right, so let's go to number 5. Listen to your inner voice. Remember, create positive self-talk. That's important. It's not always going to be easy because life's going to kick you in the butt sometimes, but it's not about being knocked down. It's about being able to get back up. And that's what we want to focus on as well. Number 6, create a new association. This goes to thinking small and kind of figuring how to break things up. It's the marathon mentality, which I really, really like. And obviously I aspire to because I'm a marathon runner. I look at how you can take little chunks and start making progress. And so if you're very fearful of something, how can you overcome that? Do little things one at a time and lead it up, and it starts adding up and being better and better. So number 7, look at the glass half full, be positive. Surround yourself with positive people. That's the biggest thing. If you're watching the news, turn it off. I mean, if that's all you're doing, there's fear left and right. I was listening to the news earlier when I was having dinner with my mom, and I can probably think everything was negative. Hell, even the weather was negative, talking about potential flash flooding and all this stuff. There's just nothing positive on the news right now. Focus on what you're putting into your world, and that way you're putting the good stuff back in the world as well. Number 8, practice breathing exercises. I like this. 5 deep breaths. If not, look some of those things up online because I think breathing exercises are very, very important. It helps you get centered, helps you get focused. You can do that at any time. If you're going into a big meeting or big presentation, take that moment to just kind of come together and calm those nerves and understand that breathing is the essence of life, obviously. And I'm a big proponent of that as well. And number 9, create that safe space. What is that for you? Is that your office? Is that your bedroom? Is that the backyard on the swing or the porch? Is it just being one with nature? Heck, is it being on the basketball court and shooting hoops? What is that safe space for you? And the last thing that I think is important for us as we're closing this out is, guys, to overcome fear, you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. But that's what life is about. The winners in this world are the ones who took the risks, the ones who took the opportunity to go out there and learn. Yes, you may fail, but if you turn it into a learning experience, all of a sudden it loses a little bit of its luster when it comes to fear. It's just about learning and getting better. And it's also about helping people, because if you focus on taking that information and sharing that with people that you know in your circle of 5 or your group, all of a sudden you're becoming a teacher yourself. So again, guys, I appreciate you being on this call on a Sunday night. Hope you found a little bit of value out of this. Letting you know we're going to be really doing this every week, and I'm excited about growing the Edward R. Leos brand in the business strategy side and coaching. You're going to see a lot of things happening on our website, blog posts, podcasts, interviews. Really, really excited. So thank you so much for being on this call. If you got some value out of this, please share this on your Facebook. Please share this anywhere there's social media, and let's see about changing this world one person at a time. Again, don't stop believing. And until next week, you guys have a blessed week. Take care.